Hi, I'm Kurt Workman, CEO and co-founder of Owlet Baby Care, here at Silicon Slopes, talking about our company and our founding story. Go ahead and check us out.
As parents, we always want more information about our children and how we can make their lives better.
We make a little smart sock for babies that tracks their heart rate and oxygen levels and can notify parents in real time if something's wrong. A friend of mine was working at the hospital with this technology called pulse oximetry. It's a technology they use in the hospital to monitor your heart rate and oxygen levels. And it empowers doctors and nurses everywhere to know when to check on their patients. It's just a safety net, but it saves thousands of lives every year. So the challenge became, how do we take that technology and make it appropriate for the nursery? We're very much a product of this community. We funded the business in the early days through winning competitions at BYU. And then we were accepted into Techstars, and it took us about 3 years to get the product to market. We're now voted the best baby monitor of 2017, 2018, and 2019. We're one of the top revenue generating baby products at Target and Best Buy and Buy My Baby, which are the top retailers. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Round of applause.
The real hero was my co-founder, Zach, and I had worked with Zach at BYU in this little program that they had there that was doing engineering for student projects, and he's just brilliant. He really is just a brilliant engineer, and so I knew he was the first person that I wanted to get on the team, and he became our CTO and my technical co-founder. And today, we have 3 award-winning products that are best in the market for our category, and he's designed all of the circuit boards and selected all the components and has done all of the engineering. He's just a brilliant engineer, so we were lucky to have him.
So when you were at Techstars, was there an actual product, or was that still being built? And at some point you had one, right? And who was the first baby that it was put on?
One of our early employees, his name was Tyler Morgan. Benson was the very first baby to use it, and then I think Ashton, my son, was the second.
So let's talk a little bit about fundraising. You obviously dipped your toe in the water at Techstars, and then raised a nice Series B round. Year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Last year.
Last year. So did you enjoy it? What was the process? And if you have any advice for folks out here on what to avoid?
Yeah, you have to have a lot of confidence, enough confidence to really just run your process. I remember we had $500,000 committed of a $1.5 million seed round that we wanted to raise. And I got a call from an investor that was like, hey, we want to participate, but we're going to dictate the terms of the round. This is how we do things. And it would have meant that I have to go back to the earlier investor and say, hey, sorry, we're going to, there's a little bit better name too, a little bit more recognized in New York. And we just said no. It was just like, no, this is what we're doing. We've got a great partner. And so we're sorry. And then he came back and said, great, we'll participate in the current terms. So just being really strong and bold with what you're doing. And I'm glad we did that because we have a great relationship with them. But this early investor that took the chance on us has made a huge difference for us. So yeah, but getting connected, if you're an entrepreneur, getting connected to investors, you kind of wonder, like, how am I going to do that? Getting connected to investors is very doable. You just start with one and start with your network and start pitching, and then you figure out how to get connected, and you can do it.
How did you overcome these bad times where you thought, maybe I'm just treading water? Just like personally or with the team, what are some tricks that you use to overcome the doldrums and the rain clouds?
We've had a lot of hard times as a business, and usually, like, we get in. I remember this particular instance. We went to George's Diner in Queens, and we just sat there and said, like, okay, how long can we go without paying ourselves? And everybody kind of offered up a set amount of time, and we just kept working. And a couple months later, we raised a $2 million seed round. So I'm a big believer just in that, like, founders need a lot of grit. You've got to be able to weather the storm, and it's not easy, and there's no tricks, and you just you keep pushing if you believe in what you're building, and it works out.
Today, what's the hardest part of filling out your team? Obviously, it's hyper competitive, but you've got the hardware side and the software side. You're competing with everyone for talent. How are you going to do it, and how are you going to get the best?
Yeah, so I just want to brag a little bit about who we've got on our team. So we hired the VP of Research from United Healthcare to come and run our data science team and our research efforts. We've hired the VP of Product from Vivint. We hired the VP of Manufacturing and Operations from Skullcandy. We hired the CFO and COO from Burton Snowboards. It was at Specialized Bicycles. Like, we've got a really, really awesome team. And the best advice I ever got was from an early coach who said, we were going to hire one of our supplier managers to be our VP of Operations. This is like early days. And he just said, what do you do? Like, who would you get if you could get anybody? And I said, well, I'd get somebody from Skullcandy because they've got all of this experience with operations and supply chain. He's like, well, then go get them. You know, like, that's your job as CEO. Like, go sell them on the vision and on the company.
What is the pressure you feel of having a product that has to work?
It's stressful. Yeah, it's definitely adds a level of seriousness to the culture at Owlet, and you know, it's why we took 3 years to get the product to market. You know, we had something we probably could have quickly revised back at Techstars. We realized it wasn't good enough. We started over. We realized we needed this base station because the phone just wasn't going to be reliable enough with all of our testing. So we created a base station that could be the primary alarm. We thought we were going to launch in October of 2014. We got beta feedback. It wasn't good enough. So we spent another 9 months getting the product ready. Then we spent 4 months shipping to our pre-order customers. And finally, we had a net promoter score of like 80. The product was working really well. You know, parents loved the product. All the back-end data that we collect was checking out, and we decided to launch. So just making sure the product was ready. And that's been a big difference between Owlet and the 10 other competitors that have come to market. If you search Google Trends, like, we're just far and above any of these other products, and it's come down to building the right thing and building it right.
Thank you, Kurt, for being here. Appreciate it. Great story.